Hi everybody and welcome to this Friday's tutorial. My name is Lineke Lijn and I want to show you how to prepare your paper and to make this kind of effect. And it is amazing, so let's start drawing. What you do is you pick a plate and a piece of sandpaper. And then you take your pastel bars and pick a color of your choice. Then you take a dry cloth and you simply apply the pigments onto your paper. What you can also do is take a second color and then build up different colors of layers. This can be a very stunning effect. But of course you can also choose to do all in charcoal, for instance. Now I'm starting with my horse head anatomy study. First I pick out a contour and you can see that this drawing is 24.5 centimeters by 20.5. Imagine dividing this in two. So place a horizontal line and a vertical line. Then you can actually see where everything is going to be. First, I concentrate on the contours. For the setup, I'm using a burnt sienna pastel pencil. What you can also do is find me on Patreon, and on my Patreon page I draw and talk at the same time, so then you can actually draw along with me one-on-one. So if you're very interested or you want to print out all the prints and the examples and see all the material that I'm using, then simply go to my Patreon page. Here I'm looking for the direction of the way that the hair is going, the top mane. You can choose to make a knot in the hairs there, but I choose to let the hair hang loose. Here you can see the bony structure of where the eye socket is underneath. I also draw in the most important shadows. And the darker shadows, of course, are underneath the head and also just behind the ear and under the manes on the top of the head. As you can see, the horse's mouth is open. You can actually see the tooth, and there's also a lot of darkness on the side of the cheek, just underneath that cheek. And by drawing in those deep hollows, you actually get the idea of a 3D. Here you can see the bone structure of the skull, and a horse is ideal, of course, for drawing anatomy studies. Also, if you want to become a portrait drawer, then horses are ideal to practice on. Now it's time to demonstrate what I really wanted to share with you. And that is the erasing part. For the first part, I'm using a quite big flat eraser. This is the one by Faber-Castell, and it's flat and nice to work with. What I do now actually is I draw in the light. Now this horse is a statue there are actually in a fountain. It's called Arteza Sketchpaper, and the castle is located in Chantilly, France. So this is a marble statue, but ideal for your anatomy study. You can actually see all the fleshy parts and the bony parts. You can see the veins and the wrinkles in the skin, and you can see the shadows that are casted upon the head, underneath the head, just behind the ear, and just underneath the top of the mane. Once you have everything in place with the burnt sienna pastel pencil, then you can switch over to the black pastel pencil. But make sure to draw very soft with the black. I'm just putting in a very soft layer of that black to point out where my darkest shadows are. So do not apply too much pressure on your pencil. The burnt sienna is a warm color, while in the black it's a lot more coldness. Also, it's very dark. So now I can focus on the darkest parts in that horse head. Pay close attention to all those little details. And here on the side of the head, the contrast is very, very high. There is a very sharp shadow there that is casted upon the upper part of the horse head, and the shadow is casted by the mane. There's also a very, very important shadow just behind the ear. So if you see those shadows, you simply draw those in. Then, of course, you can switch back to the brown pastel pencil again. I gradually build up my shadows very, very carefully. Of course, I want to get that feel of 3D. And that feel of 3D can only be reached by putting the shadows and the highlights on the correct places. Here you can actually see the skull underneath the skin if you want. And if you want to put in a little bit more cold color, then choose the blue. This is a dark blue pastel pencil, and because this is a marble statue, I think that the blue has that kind of effect that brings in enough of cold value, a cold feel, and it's also a very beautiful shadow color. Here you can see the harsh bone on the lower jaw, and I also apply it just behind that ear and here in the mane. This is the entrance of the nose, and here actually also is a little bit of shadow, and here the open mouth, and you can even see the tooth of this stallion. So take your time, and even if you want, you can draw out those veins that are on that neck which is bended. And the horse is kind of looking over his shoulder with its mouth open. And you can see the wrinkles that come out of the neck just behind the jaw. So I'm trying to put in those details too, to get that feel of anatomy. And of course you can always choose to make a smaller drawing, then make it a very big drawing. The drawing you saw at the beginning is a very big drawing. But first you can try out just a small one, or just a charcoal one, or a pure in graphite if you want. It doesn't matter much what kind of drawing material you will be using, but you want to get that feel of anatomy, and you want to get the nose in the correct place, and the eye and the ear. So that's your main study, and that is what is important and what will bring you all that fun, and the erasing, of course. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Maybe I will see you on my Patreon page, where you can find all the prints and tips that you need. And I want to say thank you for watching, and I will see you again next Friday.